My name is Manal Al Dowayan. I'm an artist from Saudi Arabia. The I Am collection was developed about 9 years ago, and it was instigated by a speech that King Abdullah had given when he took the throne in 2005. And part of the speech was dedicated to the theme of women being included alongside the men to build the country. At that point, women were not part of the workforce. Only 3% of women were working, although 60% of graduates from universities were women. It was for multiple reasons, and generally speaking, it was because of traditions. Historically, women were the ones who worked and men were out herding. That's in the Bedouin culture. But once oil came into the picture, there was a lot of wealth and men became money earners in the family. And it sort of became culturally unacceptable to have your wife or daughters working because you're supposed to be providing for them as a man. Of course, this has changed by the 90s. And so we got very excited over the speech that, yes, rules are going to change, laws are going to change, attitudes are going to change. The next day, of course, there is a huge dialogue about the speech and the implications of it. And almost the majority of opinions were, yes, women will join the workforce, but, relax. It's not going to happen the way you think it is. It's going to be where women will work in jobs that suit their nature. And that started me questioning what suits my nature as a woman and who decides what suits my nature as a woman. And I was already working as a career woman. My father actually brought in my employment papers the day he attended my graduation. So there was no point where I could, take a year off. And so I grew up in a culture where, there's empowerment through work and financial independence. So I looked around me. There are women doing incredible things, oblivious to the dialogue that was happening, which was very theoretical. But in real life situation, women were working in Saudi. And so I invited women to come in and make a commentary about this suits your nature dialogue. So I had photographed petroleum engineers, doctors, artists, film producers, filmmakers, and multiple jobs. And it was called the I Am series because it's a statement where I am here. And the final photograph of that collection was I am a Saudi citizen. And this is really deeply rooted in belonging to this society and wanting to be part of it in a practical sense, not just citizenship. The Bill Clinton Foundation was hosting a conference via an organization called Club de Madrid, which was established for former democratic leaders to come together and formulate policy that can be recommended. And being a group, it made it much more powerful as policies. And that year, they were addressing women's empowerment. And I was invited alongside Gina Davis, the Academy Award winner, to talk about the impact of art and media in changing things in the world. So she spoke about film and media and women's representation, and I spoke about art and its representation of women and the impact it has on change. And they exhibited my photographs in the library at that point. And the recommendations that came out of that conference from the discussions is that cultural leadership needs to be supported in a very focused way, because there is an impact from artists and filmmakers and writers and poets. It's not just at a literary fun entertainment level. It is actually an instigator of thought, change, and knowledge. Creating role models is a very simple idea, and I think a role model is sort of a leader. And when there are stories to be told or inspired by, a lot of things can happen from this person that is representative of something. So I've been working on another research project with a doctor in NYU about women who negotiate spaces. And through her research, she found that women are deeply inspired by success stories in order to have the courage to follow suit and actually go beyond what the first person had done. So creating role models is something people forget, especially in the Middle East, where the role models we have are singers and sports figures. And then people who do social change are not really they don't exist as role models. So this is a type of leadership that people need to plug into. A lot of money and support that comes from Western and local organizations that want to encourage different types of change, environmental, empowerment, usually focuses on people in political positions. But there are some organizations that are starting to open up their eyes to what culture can do, because there is a certain freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and there is a dialogue that can happen between people from my end of the world and your end of the world. A dialogue can happen without language, through just imagery and conceptual ideas. And then there's that connect that can happen. So leadership can come at different levels. Some people say it's cultural diplomacy too.